go. Welcome to Inside the 18. I'm Michael Magid. With me, you know her as the one and only UCLA goalkeeper coach, getting ready for her Pac-12 big matchup, the derby between USC and UCLA this Friday. Saskia Weber, we are excited about this, Susk. Everyone's excited about this.
It's the derby. Like, we have to. This is everything right now.
I mean, so for some people out there who might be listening right now, who might not be familiar, maybe they're from overseas. Why don't you explain to them a little bit about kind of this USC UCLA rivalry and why it's so big in the college soccer game?
Well, we don't have a tournament, so the Pac-12 goes in what I love in point style. Right. So they go like the Europeans do it. So we go in point style, 1 for a tie, 3 for a win, and so on and so forth. So last year, or this spring, when we had the COVID season and everything, we had already won outright 2 games before we even played SC, which is our biggest rival. And so now this year, it's actually come down to the final game, points wise. So whoever wins this game wins the Pac-12, wins the outright bid. We're number 3 in the country right now. Honestly, if I'll knock on wood and do all my superstitions, when we win this game, sorry, Shannon always yells at me for saying when we win this game on Friday, we should be number 1 in the country. And, obviously we'll get the Pac-12 championship bid, and we'll go from there. We play at home, the whole 9 yards.
I mean, look, I think, one of the things right there, is that obviously, rankings are important and everything like that. But in reality, it's really about just, the testament of you guys, an undefeated regular season. I mean, that just, I don't think a lot of people out there understand how difficult that is to do, especially in the college landscape at the level of your conference. Is such an elite level. You're consistently playing against youth national team players and international players, with the cream of the crop here.
Yeah. And, we are undefeated. We're the only undefeated team. We're number 3 in the country. Whether it's strength of schedule, whatever it is, we have 3 ties. But, it's a testament to the players, because sometimes you're playing on a Thursday, you're playing on a Sunday, you're not playing once a week. And you have school, you have everything. So my hat's off to the players right now, that what they're doing and coming into this game and being so amped for it. It's going to be epic. It's sold out. There are viewing parties. There's everything. It's like
viewing parties.
Yes.
That's amazing. It's like a World Cup.
Yeah, I've already heard that they're like the Orlando Pride's having a viewing party. Like, people are having.
Wait, NWSL teams are having viewing parties?
Yes, absolutely. Because, first of all, it's sold out. Second of all, it's one of the biggest rivalries in the history of college sports across the board, whether you're basketball, football, whatever, UCLA, USC, period. And it's just a testament to where we've come with women's soccer. And it makes me tear up and be proud. We've sold out the stadium, but we usually sell out the stadium. But now people are taking notice, and we sold out the stadium. There's a waiting list of 1,000 people to try to get in. It's going to be epic. It's awesome. This is why you play sports. This is all everything.
I mean, look. I'm not going to lie and everything like that. I mean, for those of you guys who don't know out there, that there's a waiting list, and I signed up to try to get tickets.
And I told you a week ago.
No email, no response. I'm like, this is what happened. I'm like, this is the same thing that happens to me.
And they're going to come back and say, "Can't Saskia get you in?" I have family. Mike's my family, but I only have 2 tickets. I have 2 tickets. That's it.
That's insane. Now, what's going to happen during the playoffs? Jeez, during the tournament and stuff like that.
Well, but here's the thing. Like, look, we sold out against Stanford. We sell out everything. But the deal is, this is USC. And I wasn't on the team when they played in at USC in the big stadium, in the Coliseum. And I heard there were 30,000 people there. So we're not playing in the Coliseum, but we have sold out the stadium. And honestly, my excitement about this like rivals my excitement about the World Cup from a different perspective.
I mean, look, I think, one great thing about what you're saying right over here is just that, when we're talking about like the passion that people have for not just being players, but also being coaches, like this is what we're talking about right here, and you can sense how proud you are of all your goalkeepers this past season and everything they've accomplished. Not just, the ones that have been consistently playing, but also the ones off the field, and as our guest panelist comes on in a second here, which is Chris Sharpe from Colorado Rapids, who's just finishing up training because they're right now in the middle of their playoff preparations. They're right now the 3 seed in MLS in the Western Conference. So obviously really important things going on, but it's important that we start having these discussions, Saskia, with our goalkeepers as things start wrapping up, and kind of reflecting back on everything that's kind of happened, this past year.
I had a conversation with my keepers before the Stanford game. I sat them down separately and I said, Lauren is only good as our union is good. Lauren is only like when we get a shutout, we all get a shutout. So whether you're playing, whether you're not playing, whatever it is, we're a union. And when we got the shutout against Stanford, my first text was to the entire UCLA GK union was congratulations on the shutout, because it's all of us.
Yeah. I love the fact that you just said that right there, because it is that dynamic, because if it weren't for them pushing Lauren at training, them consistently improving, them giving her service, all those sorts of things, she wouldn't be Sharpe. She wouldn't be in the position, where she's at to be able to. And not only that, if Lauren either, gets hurt, or let's just say, you guys all decide, that you want somebody else to get.
Mike, are you going to knock on wood right now? What are you doing to me?
Okay. So no. I didn't. Oh, geez, Louise. Okay, maybe I should.
No,
but you get what I'm saying. It's next person up, so it's like they all have to be prepared.
And they all have to be prepared. And the bottom line is, it's team. And I think that any player that comes into our life and what we do at UCLA that doesn't understand that if you're not on the starting team or if you're not the first player off the bench or something, that you don't matter is ridiculous. Like, everybody matters. And that's how I played for the US team. And so the fact that Amanda, Sam and Jane have created that environment is why I love coaching here, because that's true. It's true. Everybody is important. Everybody's accountable, from the first player to the last player. And there are no first and last. Do you see what I'm saying?
Exactly. I think
if you look at the goals we've scored, it's the players coming off the bench, the game changers, which, by the way, was coined by not me, but I hated the word reserve. I hated that. I think that's a horrible statement, but I think that game changers is the best thing. So if you look at Kyla coming off the bench, or if you look at anybody coming off the bench and serving a ball and it's a goal, or just changing the flow of the game, absolutely.
Yeah. Oh, hold on. Speaking of absolutes, guys, we have somebody right here who is absolutely just coming in from his training session right now, guys.
Whirlwind.
Colorado Rapids goalkeeper coach Chris Sharpe. Sharpe.
Hey, I apologize. What's up?
Hey, Sass, how you doing?
I'm good. I'm great.
Good.
She's excited about the Friday big derby against USC.
Yes, I didn't know until Mike told me the other day. That's fantastic, huh?
Yeah, it's going to be crazy.
Brilliant. Brilliant.
Yeah.
Big game. Big games all weekend this weekend.
I love
know.
big games.
Yeah.
I'm like, bring it.
Brilliant. Sorry, guys. I just got in from training. We moved training to 11 o'clock now because of the cold here. So just jumped in and gone. So.
How cold is it there now?
I mean, today's beautiful, to be fair. I mean, right now it's 67, but the last few days we've had like 34, 35. So it's just the frost in the grass early morning. We just got to let it.
34, 35. Meanwhile, last night I was doing an outdoor comedy show on this patio on Melrose. It was an awesome show, like A-list comics, everything like that.
That California life guy's tough, isn't it?
Yeah.
Oh my
34, 35. It's like.
Yeah, but I was like shivering. I was wearing like this jacket layered, like I was like this.
No, Mike, we were just talking about the game Friday night, and everybody's like, okay, I need to bring like hot chocolate. I need to bring like a blanket and stuff. I'm like, it's gonna be like 60.
Here's me last night on the academy session at 4:30. 2 sweaters, a big parka, 2 pairs of sweatpants. Sun goes down. Oh, another jacket, another pair of sweatpants. Australian blood is not built for that.
Oh my gosh, man. You look like you're in a biohazard suit just walking around the field.
Like the Michelin man. Like this.
Yeah, you're like
trying to serve balls like this.
I can't feel my arms.
No, good.
This is why all the kids have to do the service, because you can't physically move your body. Oh man. Well, Sharpe, I know you're limited on time right now, obviously, because you guys have a big playoff push going on. First off, congratulations. Being right now your 3rd seed, in the Western Conference. It's a really difficult conference, as we all know. Just phenomenal accomplishment what you guys have been able to accomplish, this year with Colorado. So congrats on that, and obviously, much success going into the playoffs next week.
Thank you. Yeah, it's been a good year, and hopefully the guys can kick on. And Seattle and SKC have kept us in the loop this week too with their results. So it's a big weekend for everybody, I think.
Yeah. So one of the reasons why I wanted to do this topic with both you and Saskia right here is because neither one of you guys are ending your season next week. So you guys can be a little bit more open and honest about the situation, because no one can be like, well, wait a second, they're about to do this right now. So are they can't give away information or whatever. Today's topic, guys, is exit interviews. I think it's a really important topic. A lot of youth coaches right now and a lot of college coaches right now are going through this. There's a lot of young coaches. I'll be honest with you, personally, myself, when I did my first exit interview, I was terrified. I didn't know how to do it. I didn't know how to approach it. I didn't know what to say. So Sharpe, maybe for some parents out there that don't know what we mean by exit interviews, what do we mean by that?
Well, I think it's, the exit interview is just an opportunity for the coaching staff to discuss with the individual how their season played out. Looking at things like IDPs, which is the individual development plans, what we see in the future for them, maybe the position they hold at the club currently, just to, be honest and upfront about where we see them within the realm of the scope of the club. I think for me, the exit interviews, obviously there's a lot of different layers to it. Depends on what level you're at. If you're a first team player all the way down to an academy player, what the future holds for you. Number one, probably first and foremost, as you're a pro player. As you get sort of down the ranks in the younger guys, it's, where the season lay, how we thought your season went, strengths and weaknesses. For me, it's a lot about the IDPs, showing them where I feel they can improve, showing them where I think they're very strong, maybe cutting a little bit of video out of certain things to kind of back up you give some justification to the points you're trying to make. And then I think obviously for me, with the older guys, the first team boys, it's then, if we are keeping them for the following year, showing the plan that we're going to have for the preseason. It is always my exit interview of what my plan might be, with a little bit of, obviously we've still got months to go before we get there, but where the preseason may lay for them as far as that IDP is concerned, and what we're going to try and, forecast in that preseason to make sure they're ready and stuff.
Yeah, no, I agree completely. And I think, Saskia, this is something that obviously is something that's extremely, extremely important, especially when we're talking about at the collegiate level, because you have goalkeepers that are going to be either moving on to another level, or you have goalkeepers who are going to be kind of taking that next step from being a red shirt to being a participating member and everything like that. And again, Sharpe, before we started, Saskia was talking about the fact that, like, all the goalkeepers, you need to make them all feel special. You need to make them all feel like you're giving them just as much amount of time as this. Is not like 5 minutes for the, quote unquote third string, and then like, an hour and a half with the number one, Sus?
Yeah, and I think that exit interviews for me, I handle it throughout the entire season. So if you have a running communication of where you're at, where our vision is through the entire season, when it comes to an exit interview, it's just a reiterating of that vision and where they've been. But if you haven't said anything, coaches out there, if you just like gone through training, haven't had meetings, haven't talked, haven't done video, haven't done anything, and then all of a sudden at the end of the season you're like, okay, so this is where I see you for the rest of for next year. I think it's a little harsh. I think that it should be a growing, like it should manifest throughout the year. And by the time I get to the exit interview, they already know where they are and what I expect for them for moving forward, for off season, for their individual training, for going into the next season, and so on.
Yeah, no, and by the way, Sharpe, feel free to step in any time right here.
Yeah, I agree with Sas, guys. I think Sas, what you said at the beginning there, for coaches, for me, it's a recap.
Yeah, it's a recap.
It's you're just reiterating every little bits and pieces that you put together throughout the course of the season. For me, for us as goalkeeper coaches, whether you're in academy, whether you're in a club football, whether you're in college or the pros, we have a smaller group to take care of. The field play coaches have 15, 16, 30 if you're in the first team, or maybe even more if you're a college coach. So it can be more difficult for those guys to get around to each individual throughout the course of the season. But for us as goalkeeper coaches, for me, it is a complete recap. And I encourage, and obviously, Mike, going back to what you asked me at the beginning, for parents in this, but I encourage my goalkeepers in the academy level to bring questions.
Absolutely.
They have to come with their little book and pen, and they have to have 5, 6, 7, 8, 10, 15. There's no time limit for me. I might say, hey, Mike, we're meeting from 5 to 5:30, but I don't mind if we go to 6:15. It doesn't matter to me. But they have to come with their thought process. I want to know how you did. I always start my recap with my younger kids on, you tell me how you felt your season was.
Yeah.
Go for
yeah.
it.
And I also think that instills in them to look at their video, to reassess their play, to watch what they can, and come to you with the questions like, because we all know that what we want out of goalkeepers is to self-coach, is to say, when I walk up and say, what happened in the situation, for you to give me the answer instead of me giving you the answer. Yep. So even with these meetings, coming and saying, you know what, I'm still struggling on crosses because of this, because of that, because I'm letting the player draw me to the near post and not holding that first step, or whatever it is. But you want them to come to you with the questions and kind of the answers to move forward. But it is just a recap. Yeah. Absolutely.
One thing I want to bring up about that is like, when I first did my first exit interviews at the youth club level, at least, which is a little bit different than obviously at the collegiate level, is I recognized that if they weren't on the same page as me, there was a disconnect, and this is a problem. This means that we've not been communicating properly throughout this entire process. If they're unaware, if all of a sudden I'm throwing something at them and it's like hitting them like a truck, like, what? I didn't see this at all. Like, oh no, then there's a problem here. Because in my opinion, as a goalkeeper coach, as an educator, it's our job to be able to create an environment that's going to teach them how to recognize these things within themselves. And if they're not recognizing these weaknesses, that's a problem, Chris. And can we use that as like kind of a learning tool for ourselves as educators?
100%. Agree. I think what Sas says, you're talking to the coach here. And for me, if kids are coming into the classroom, to, so to speak, or the office to have this conversation, and they're asking you questions. So the kid says, okay, Chris, this situation arose in the game last weekend. It was the game prior to the recap. I want to know what to do here. My response to them is, okay, you tell me what you think is the best thing in that moment. And if they're telling you the things that you've gone over in video, in training, in their gameplay, whatever it is, they're obviously intaking the information. Therefore, I'm doing my job. If they're got no idea, then obviously, there's two things. Either I've got to look at myself, or that scenario has not come up in my sessions or not come up in their games before.
Yeah.
So there's probably twofold for me. And I think, it's a wonderful thing. If you're going into an end of season interview with your goalkeepers or anybody, and or there are questions probably can't answer themselves, then we aren't doing our job as a coaching staff throughout the course of the season.
Yeah, I mean, I get even like game to game, like I'll get text messages from LB or somebody like from LB, and she'll be like, okay, I went over the video before we've even gone over the video. I should have done this. I knew it in the moment, like this and that and the other. That's what you want. So it's so the exit interviews a recap, and are they cognizant? Are they learning everything that you've taught over the season?
Right.
And I agree with you, Chris. If they're coming in going, all right, this happened, I have no idea how to fix this, I have no idea what's going on, then I have to turn to myself and say, why don't they understand? Like, because it's very obvious, like the mistakes they made, but they can't see that.
But I think also we have to, and Sharpe, I don't know how you feel about this. I think we also have to be cognizant of the level and the age
of course.
that we're working at. I've seen, and again, a mistake that I've seen a lot of younger coaches make is that they're doing an interview with a poor little 11 or 12-year-old, and they're giving them all this information, and it's like this poor kid leaves just thinking like, I can't play goalkeeper, like I don't know what I'm doing at all or whatever. So like you have to. There's a certain way to say things, age and level specific, so that it's gonna be successful and functional for them and effective.
I think so, and I agree. I think there's going to be certain things. Like I said, if there's things that happen in the game, let's say you're talking about 11 and 12-year-olds, and I'll just pick, say, the 11-year-olds for an example, and they're playing on a 7v7 field. And in our experience in Colorado, in all the data we've taken in, the ability in those games for kids to get crosses in is pretty slim to none. They can't even serve the corner kicks in past the first post. So for us to spend a monumental amount of time in our training sessions on crosses for the U10 and U11 is not worth it at the moment. They're not going to see those moments in games all the time. So if the kid comes in and says, hey, Sharpe, this happened in the game, crossing sequence happened, whatever the pattern of play was, I understand that because we haven't really, gone over it in great detail in training. And it probably doesn't happen a lot in his games. That happens to a 13-year-old who's now in 11v11 field. And we haven't touched that as a goalkeeper coach or in our goalkeeper sessions. Then, you're looking at yourself going, okay, I need to be doing more of this because I'm not seeing what's happening in game situations to allow the kid to be successful in those moments. And I think it just plays twofold in that. You're looking at several different things: age, ability level they're playing at. It all comes into play when you're talking about reasons after.
I think my other issue is that, young players get caught up in what happens in the moment. And so a good example is, let's say the game the other night. So Lauren came way too far off her line to try to collect two flighted balls. And is it that this is a hitch in her game, or is it she was too amped up and she made some dumb mistakes? And so, you have head coaches, and Chris, I'm sure you know this, that are like, why is Lauren doing this? And why is she running off her line? And this is a problem. And I'm sitting here going like, it's not a problem. She's never done it before. And, she was amped up. She was off her game that day. We'll talk about it and relax, And so when kids go to their exit interview, it can't be based on
one thing.
It can't be based on one thing. It can't be based on their last game. It is a progression through the season and where you see them going in the future.
It's a holistic. I think to add on to what Sarah just said there, for me, my DA boys, and not so much for the first team guys because they're obviously seasoned pros, but for the DA boys, we do our IDPs at the beginning of the year. So I give them their IDPs. They're blank IDPs. They have everything in it from physical, tactical, mental, all that. And I have them. There's a section for them to fill out. What they're looking to achieve, strengths and weaknesses, all that sort of stuff. And I go through it across the course of the season as their game's gone, and I just fill out stuff and make notes, so I'm not backtracking when it comes to December. Then when we sit down in the exit interview, up on the screen goes their IDP. We go back and look at what they've written in July, and we go to see where they are in December. So we're not talking about, like you said, Sus, just one thing. He hasn't come flying out off the goal line to clear the ball and miss the ball, and that's the one thing in the whole season we're talking about.
I love Sharpe. I just love what you just said right there, because I think that is something that I think a lot more people need to do, is to utilize what they had their goalkeepers say in the preseason before the season even started. What are their goals? What are their goals for this season? Where do they feel that they need to improve? Where do they feel that they're strong and everything? Because then you can go back and now you actually have kind of a worksheet, and you can say, okay, you hit this point, you didn't hit this point, you didn't hit. Why did this end up going like this? Or actually, you actually went past where we expected you to go here. And that sort of thing.
You're holding them accountable. They've said it. Now they put it out there. Now they have to be accountable for it. If one of the kids says, look, I'm 13 years old, I have to get my function in my body right. I'm a little bit cumbersome right now. I'm growing. So I'm going to stay with the strength and conditioning coach after every session, and I'm going to work on my mechanics for 15 minutes. Great. July, hasn't stayed once. September, hasn't stayed once. November,
exactly.
Once. All of a sudden you can go, okay, so I'm sitting here saying your mechanics haven't improved over the last 6 months, but you said to me, look at your IDP, that you wanted to work on this. You haven't been out once. Like there's accountability in that. You know what I mean? Now, on the flip side of it, they've said that a week and what they've said, and all of a sudden you see this, then fantastic, job done. You've been brilliant. And I think there's a good realm to that when it comes to those young kids.
Yeah.
So do you have to kind of, for lack of a better term, we always talk about the personalization when it comes to, communicating with goalkeepers. Do you have to take the person into account with how you talk to them? Like you can talk to one in a certain, okay.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And I'm not going to, I guess I am. Women are different than men. Sorry.
No,
and I do. I absolutely do. The conversation last night at 11 o'clock in the morning was clips of certain situations that happened in the game against Stanford. And I said, yes, I'm aware of it. Lauren and I are going to meet and we're going to talk about it. Don't bring this up until I have a chance to talk to her. Because the individual, I know how she'll react. Let's just say that didn't happen this morning. And I spent the entire practice trying to reignite her intensity because she was, I don't care. She was thrown under the bus. She was said, what the fuck are you doing here? What the hell is this? And I specifically said, don't do that to her, because as the individual, that's not how she handles things. And so I spent the majority of practice trying to reel her back in. And Mike, don't repost this until after the USC game. But that, yes, it's individual. If that had been Hannah, no, go ahead. If that had been E, go ahead. But everybody's different in how they handle criticism, how they handle certain situations, how I have to deal with them going into the next game. And I take that into account 100%. You just brought up my entire day this morning.
Look, Mike, I agree with Sus. I think even for the guys, everyone's different. Everyone's personality is different. Everyone's got different things going on in their lives. I go back to what I said before. We have a smaller group of individuals to take care of. It's on the coaches to try and understand a little bit about the person. So for the senior guys, for me, I've got guys that are married, got kids are sick. I've had instances this week where one of my first team goalkeepers, little one's been quite ill, and that's it. For me, that is first and foremost for them. They take care of their family. They come in here and they take care of their job. It can't be the other way around for them, because I'm not going to get the best out of him if his family's at home worrying about what's going on with the little guy. So I think that there's so many implications that run into what you've just asked there that go on. And then the younger guys are different. They might have a bad day at school. They might have got a F on their test. Mum might have got stuck into them in the morning on the way in. They might have had anything to eat in the morning on the way to training. There's so much going on in there that, I had an instance this morning where my academy goalkeeper was in with the first team. He had a pretty bang average session. I'll be honest with you. He did the warm up with us and he was quite poor. And he is a kid that I can poke and poke and poke and poke, and he just gets better and better. And he is a motivated young man. He wants to edge on the side of me motivating him almost too much. I poked him this morning a couple of times and nothing happened. Didn't get any better. Anyway, I go to him after training. I said, "Bud, what's going on this morning?" He goes, "Oh, he's coming off an injury. He goes, I'm really, really sore today." I didn't say anything to him.
Yeah. Oh,
It's
welcome
a
to
learning curve.
Goalkeepers.
It's a learning curve for him. You know what I mean? I'm really sore today, and I just didn't say anything. But he's trying to get through the session at max performance.
Yeah.
In with the first team. If he come and said it to me half an hour before training, he said, knocked on my door, said, "Hey, Sharpe, I'm not feeling great today. I want to be in, but I look at the whole thing differently."
Yeah.
You know?
No, and that's what the coaches out there have to understand. You're not just checking your little card in and checking out. These are individual human beings, especially with goalkeeping, and everybody's going through something else. And it's hard. You have to. If you can't juggle it, then get the hell out. Then don't be a coach. I'm sorry. Then check out, and I'll kick you in the ass, and don't let the door hit you.
We are 80% psychologists. 80% psychologists we are.
Yeah, deal with it.
Goalkeeper trainers.
By the way, Sharpe, I just want to say, you know, speaking of little ones, you know, you look like the most well-rested person with a little one I've ever seen in my life, man.
I have a wonderful wife. Don't get me wrong. Two things. I have a wonderful wife, and I have a little guy that sleeps 10 hours and not wake up once.
Oh my God, you're blessed.
I'm blessed, but something's going to bite me in the backside in 12 months' time. I can see it. He's going to be like his dad.
He's going to be like terrible twos or terrible whatever. You're going to be like, "Oh my God, what happens to that kid? That's 10 hours a day."
We have been blessed with a saint of a child. He is adorable. But Mum and I both know that in 12 months' time, if he's got dad's genes in him, we're in a bit of trouble. So.
Oh man, I mean, I thought I was like maybe he's got a really good filter going on right now. I don't know,
mate. There's no filter. This is what you see is what you get. Trust me.
I don't know, but I just saw Yes Saskia really quick pop up on the screen. I'm not sure what.
Did Andreas put Yes Saskia, and I was like, I'm not sure what that was regarding a comment earlier, or was that regarding about the terrible twos type situation going on? Speaking of exit interviews, geez Louise, man. Oh man. I do want to ask this though, Sharpe, because you know one of the things that I think is a problem a lot of times with the exit interviews is that people don't talk to the coaches first. We don't all discuss, you know, like especially in a club setting, they'll just say, "Go talk to the goalkeepers." You know, club season's over, DA season's over. Go talk to the goalkeepers. But then you don't get any feedback from the head coaches of these teams first, and then you just go and talk to these goalkeepers, and then they'll say something like, especially if you're dealing with an adolescent where they might, you know, have a little bit of an attitude or whatever and say, "Yeah, but coach told me," then you start getting the excuses. Right. Coach told me I was supposed to do this. That's why I kept doing this. And that's, you know, we were playing like this or whatever. Well, like that's also on the goalkeeper coach's part. Like don't be an island. You need to be talking to these coaches throughout the season so you don't end up in a situation like that.
Right. Right.
You know?
Right. And I think a lot of it too is, you know, at the club level and you know, for me in my role, you know, our head coach in the first team relies a lot on what I say about the goalkeepers for the choice of selection, which is wonderful. It's wonderful for me and it's wonderful for the boys. But I think too, you know, when you're in that situation where we're not always got eyes on, you know, if you're a club team, you're not always got eyes on the goalkeepers on the weekend. You know, there is match evaluations that people are filling out. So we, for example, at the youth club level, we have match evaluations that we ask the head coaches to fill out of the goalkeepers. It's not very long. It takes them 7-8 minutes. After every game, we've got 15, 16 bullet points, you know, 1 to 5. It just gives us a little bit of a feel about how they were on the weekend, and then any comments at the bottom. And you know, we're talking about 400-500 goalkeepers here across the course of 5 different regions, and it's very hard for all of, you know, our goalkeeper staff to keep up with that all the time. But it just gives us a little bit of context to what you just said. You know, you struggling with the starting positions in the run of play, struggling to understand how we're trying to play out. You know, struggling to understand when to skip the first line, whatever it looks like in that scenario. And then we can also then go to the coach and say, okay, so the nights that we have the goalkeepers, we have them on Tuesdays and Wednesdays, and they're with you on the Thursday. Are you working on the build out on Tuesday and Wednesdays when the goalkeepers aren't with you for the full time? Would it be better to do that on the Thursday so they are understanding what you guys are asking of them within the team structure? And like just trying to find ways to kind of piece the things together, because it's not easy, you know, and obviously you guys know this as well in being in Cali, where goalkeepers in one location, team coaches in another location, and you're trying to kind of piece things together for the kids and make it the best possible scenario for them. So that's sort of stuff that we have to be cognizant of as well as coaches to make sure that we are understanding what the staff is asking of the goalkeepers, as well as what the goalkeeper coach is asking the goalkeepers, and trying to marry it together just a little bit to make sure that we are giving the kids the best opportunity to develop from those standpoints. But understanding what the team coaches are asking is also massive as well.
So Sharpe, should the coaches, and Suska, I'd love to hear your opinion on this as well too. Should you have an entire discussion with the coaching staff before you approach any of these goalkeepers at the end of a season?
Is that something
that's necessary? Yeah, I'm asking either one of you guys, but yes, that's what we ask.
I will tell you hands down that I always talk to Amanda and Sam and Jane and stuff like that about the goalkeepers before I sit down, and I don't sit down alone with them. Our closing meetings are with at the least my head coach, at the least Amanda, Sam, and Jane. It's all of us. It's never just myself. And it's something that we have already met with and talked about and discussed about their future, about how we see the season has gone and everything. And we all talk. And then if they want to have a separate meeting or another follow-up with me alone, then I'm open to that. But my staff is incredibly invested, 100%.
Sharpe, same thing on your end?
Yep, I think for me, in my situation, so it's for the first team, it's the goalkeeper, the general manager, the head coach, and myself, always in the same room. And then right after the meeting, we'll come down, just goalkeeper and myself, and we'll go through the IDP plan. We'll go through what the expectations are coming into preseason. I will be working with the strength and conditioning coach about what their off-season program looks like. Kind of give them a little bit of background on that. And then by that time, I will already have something drafted for preseason that will look like what we're going to try to achieve that individual goalkeeper. And it won't be the finished product because obviously we've got a month and a half or 4 weeks, whatever it is, before we get to that point. And I'll, play with it and adjust it and tweak it. But that, and gives them a chance in a little bit of a secure environment to ask any questions that they want to ask the goalkeeping side of it without kind of going into it with the GM and the head coach as well. We're just for goalkeeping purposes.
No, and I agree. And I forgot to bring up the strength and conditioning and outside programs, but yes.
Yeah, and all that. But I think to answer your question in more general terms too, Mike, it's if you're a goalkeeper coach of a club team that has 120 goalkeepers and you see these 120 goalkeepers across the course of five nights, it is so hard to go to every single team coach and ask them the individual stuff about the goalkeepers. So for me, sometimes, obviously in the last 2 years, our goalkeeper staff has been doing stuff virtual. There was a point there where we were trying to give written stuff to everybody, but again, you're asking a goalkeeper coach to write 120 reviews and reports and so on and so forth. So we've just got to try and make it obviously time effective for the goalkeeper staff, but most effective for the goalkeeper that's being reviewed. So we offer them their parents to come in and sit down. And to be fair, Sas, I'm going to go all the way back to what you said at the beginning. When we have our end of season interviews with our youth club goalkeepers, not our development academy goalkeepers, with our youth club goalkeepers, it is mum and goalkeeper, dad and goalkeeper, mum and dad and goalkeeper, and we are just reviewing.
Oh yes, absolutely.
We are reviewing with the parents. We are reviewing with the parents. It is the kids should already know how we feel about them, where they stand, what they are. We are actually talking directly to the mum and dad.
Yes.
To fill them in on any miscommunication or any blanks that might have been between goalkeeper and family. And that's
absolutely. And so when I was coaching for Bulls and stuff, yes, like I'm sitting here thinking like UCLA and so on.
Yeah, and I was trying to fill out the whole. But
when I was coaching club, this is a meeting that was between me and the mom and dad, the kid, the player, and the head coach. That's it. And the mom and dad have to be there. The mom and dad are a part of this because this goes into. Little Tommy or little Jane, she's showing up late or she's tired or she wants to be a field player and a goalkeeper. There's so many other things that go into that conversation.
Yeah. And I think you're just nipping things in the bud prior to them actually happening. It's basically what it's doing.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, one thing that, kind of, I want to know, kind of in regards to this is that, and you just brought up a really good point right there, both of you right there, and in Sharpe is that simple thing is that the field player, the goalkeeper, if that's just one example right there. But if you have a goalkeeper that has a certain goals and mission, that is different than what you want from them, you need to listen to them. And you can't just try to do what you want for that goalkeeper. You've got to put together, you've got to listen to them and communicate, because I can't tell you how many times I've seen at the youth level, head coaches tell me, well, we just want him to be a goalkeeper. We just want her to be a goalkeeper or whatever, and again, that's just one example. And then, what are you supposed to say? Well, they just want you to be a goalkeeper. That's not the way you approach it. First off, kids should be able to explore anything they want, so is that something that, like, when after you have an exit interview and you listen out to the goalkeeper, you kind of go back to the team and say, like, hey, just want to let you know, this are their thoughts, and you need to be aware of this.
I think too, in our club system, we've also structured it so, like, that kind of misconception, it can't be really misconstrued. So, for example, and I'm talking about the club level goalkeepers here, our two top levels, our select and burgundy levels, those kids are full-time goalkeepers. If you want to play at that level, you're a full-time goalkeeper. You're not a part-time goalkeeper. Anything below that, if you want to play a part-time on the field and part-time in goal, you're only going to be judged on goalkeeping as a third level and below, because you're going to be taking time away from the kids at the top end that want to be just pure goalkeepers. So I think there's a structure. We have a structure in the club already that's kind of nipping that in the bud early. But when you sit in an exit interview and little Johnny, who's on the top team and really good goalkeeper, goes, you know what? I talked to mum and dad. I want to be a bit of a field player as well. Then they have to understand that that's okay. If they want to be a full-time field player and they're good enough to be on a top team, go and do it. But you won't be a part-time goalkeeper taking time away from somebody else and be a part-time field player on one of the top teams. We're trying to develop those goalkeepers as well. So there's a bit of a process in there, period. But yes, to answer your question wholeheartedly, you have to listen to them. It's the same way in the development academy. We're trying to put goalkeepers in the stadium. That's the bottom line. And there is pressure. There is pressure on these kids. Doesn't matter if they're 13, 14, 15, 17. Because everybody wants their position. There's 2 kids per age group, and everybody in Colorado wants to be that kid in that team. So
and with club, not on the level of pro club and stuff like that, but on club here, like, you're looking at kids that just want to be on the team. So all of a sudden, like, little Susie or little Johnny is like, yeah, I'm not quite making it as a field player. I'll be a goalkeeper because I'm a good athlete. So, and then all of a sudden I'm on a Friday doing, like, my open goalkeeper session when I was coaching club, and little Johnny comes running over saying, hey, my coach told me to come over and get some goalkeeper coaching. And I'm sitting here actually legitimately, like, in a transition. Let's say it's taken 4 weeks to do, like, progressive diving or breakaways. And all of a sudden, little Johnny's running over, little Anne's running over saying, hey, my coach told me to come over because I'm a part-time goalkeeper. It doesn't work that way, coaches out there. It doesn't. Like, it doesn't.
Let me just say this. The only people that will advocate for goalkeeping
Like, I get so mad. I'm like, okay, because I've done a progression for the past 4 weeks on breakaways, and now let's send little Anne over because she's going to play in the game this weekend, and she's never caught a ball before, so I'm going to try to teach her how to catch, as well as these guys doing breakaways right now. Are you kidding me?
Hey, Mike, I think Saska's had some day so far. What are we? You guys I think 45, and Saska's having a day.
Oh, man.
I'm like,
wound up.
That's why I left club. I was like,
No, I think there's protocols. If there's protocols in place, guys, if there's boundaries and direction for that sort of stuff, then I think it's great. And I have to remind my staff that, that stuff, we've created documents and all sorts of things to go out to team coaches, playing time, goalkeeper rotation, goalkeeper training, all that stuff has to go through our goalkeeper staff prior to it being okayed by the team coach as well. Because they say, look, little Saskia wants to be a goalkeeper all of a sudden.
Little Saskia, I love it.
Come on, Saskia. You got to start season. We got to start catching a volley first.
Exactly. But what are you supposed to do as the coach of 120 kids in a club thing going, I have a regiment, I've done this, and now all of a sudden randomly, because you're not in conversation with other coaches, are sending me little Saskia to say, hey, how do I catch a ball, when I'm well beyond that with our goalkeepers.
And you're killing the other kids too. It's hurting the other kids' progression.
Yeah.
Absolutely. By the way, this just came through right here from Craig Alston.
Still upset Saskia beat us a few weeks ago.
So this is one of my coaches.
No way.
Yeah. Craig's a good friend and one of my coaches for core. So
Craig's awesome.
He coaches for CU.
Yeah, we beat everybody in overtime apparently.
Yeah. I asked, and I'm 30-minute conversation with him one night about this particular game.
Wait, you broke
So
up.
if you're listening, Craig, I remember that conversation.
Yeah.
Oh
I'm not sorry. I'm sorry, but I'm not sorry.
By the way, here's a question from Andreas right here. Actually, this is a really good question. He goes, do you do exit interviews after fall season and then after spring season for club level, or just once a year? That's a great question.
Both for me.
Both.
Okay.
Different seasons.
Yeah. That's a really good point. I want to do something a little fun right here because, Chris, Sharpe, I know you only have a little bit of time right here.
Yeah.
I want to throw up an example of a goalkeeper right here, and let's see if I can share this.
Let's hope this is little Saskia.
Honey, unless he has a beta or VHS, it's not going to happen.
This might be little Mikey. I reckon this might be little Mikey.
This
little
is
Saskia. I love it.
Oopsie, hold on. I don't want to share that one. That's what.
All right, little Chris.
Yeah. He wasn't so little.
It's little Chris.
Okay. All right. So let's see if you guys can everybody see this right here?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Beautiful. Fantastic. Okay.
I thought
wonderful.
it was going to be a video.
No. Well, I've got a video.
Bummed me
I've got a video in here that I can click on here.
That totally bummed me out.
But well, I've got a video. We can play the. Okay, it's time. Should we play the video first?
Yeah, I think we should play a video because we were both expecting a video.
Okay, well, I found this. I found this on YouTube.
Me goalkeeping. Here we go.
I found this on. Let's see if we can get this thing to open.
This is from 1972.
Oh, it's little Chris.
This might be little Mikey.
Oh no.
Is it little Mikey?
On. Yeah.
It is little Mikey, but
Don't
it
worry
has to
about
play
it.
stupid ad. Here we go. This is little Mikey. This is back in the day.
Mikey likes
Right
it.
here.
Let's see it.
Look how dark it is. Oh man, video was
I can't
so
see
bad
it, Mikey.
back then.
I can't see it.
Oh, you can't see it?
Mikey,
No.
Can you guys see
can't
it?
No.
Oh man. Oh no.
He's lying.
It wasn't
Chris,
playing.
you know
It
he's
wasn't
lying.
playing.
I watched the
He's
video. And
totally
I gotta
lying. He's
cut
like,
this
I'm
out.
not showing this.
Yeah. So let me tell you, if you're in my exit interview, mate, you might not be coming back next year.
Okay, so let's just look at this though. Let's just look at this right here then. So let's just look at this kind of this demo profile of this goalkeeper, and I kind of like your feedback on like both how you guys would approach this. So we got a goalkeeper, youth goalkeeper, high school junior. Okay, let's say ECNL, MLS, DA level, right? Scouting report is reasonable athleticism, fairly strong tactical awareness, below average feet, will struggle at high collegiate or lower level professional, but wonderful work ethic, student of the game, still physically maturing, has anxiety in intense moments. How would you talk to a goalkeeper like this?
That's a nightmare.
I don't think you got.
So who wants to start?
Maybe they should be a forward.
And I'm just giving a template of one specific type of goalkeeper out there.
All right,
And basically, I'm just saying me. Basically, me as a high school junior is what we're trying to do right here.
I think for me, you just got to put it into context. Then you just got to, obviously there's a number of different things there, both good and strengths and weaknesses. I think you got to put it into context and kind of take. You wouldn't be taking this prior to a season. You'd be taking this at the end of a season. So obviously, going back to what we said before, there's going to be a number of different discussions throughout the course of the season that is happening with this individual. Good and bad, moderate, mediocre, really, really good, whatever it looks like within that realm of what you've given, the skeleton of what you've given there. And how are we as coaches, or how am I as his coach or her coach, managing all those aspects that you just put there on the screen? Now, if they're having anxiety in the high intense moments, how am I replicating that in training sessions so they can at least feel more comfortable in those moments? I'm just going to read what you've written here. Physically maturing. Go on, Sas.
I just think this is, whoever wrote this, there's better ways to put things.
Sure.
Like anxiety in intense moments. Like that's basically if I was recruiting this kid, I would never recruit this person. Like, I mean, is there a better way to explain these things? Reasonable athleticism, wonderful work ethic, great. Student of the game, great. Still physically maturing, okay. Depends on their age, that's fine. Anxiety and intense moments. What's that mean? Like, does that mean towards the end of the game that you're not coming up with the big save? Does that mean that any breakaway you're like falling apart? Or that's such an open-ended statement that it could be anything.
Right. And I like what a lot of you guys are saying right there, because I love the fact. So I intentionally wrote this in this manner because I've seen so many reports like this given to kids, and it shatters them.
It would shatter me. Like, but there's nothing informative about that.
Right.
What you said. Anxiety and intense moments. What kind of intense moments? Like, okay, maybe decision making. You could change that into decision making coming on crosses, right? Or decision making coming out for through balls. So that's different. That's more specific. Anxiety and intense moments means you're falling apart when anything happens.
Mike, can I share my screen? Can I share my screen? Hang on, I don't know. Let me see if I can get this. Hang on a second.
Yeah.
Share screen.
I'm like, I feel for this kid. Is it little Mikey?
I'm not gonna lie, I definitely got reports like that when I was a kid, but I've seen so many things like that, and I think it's just because a lot of young coaches aren't taught how to or I'll be honest with you, a lot of them are lazy and they'll rush something to get it to 120 kids at the club.
Right.
And they're not thinking about.
Look, I get that. When I first started here with UCLA, and I had to do evaluations for camps and stuff. I still am specific. Like, I'm still not anxiety and intense moment. Like, I have like 30 evaluations to do. I will still say, maybe a little trepidatious coming for through balls.
Yep.
And then I'll say how to work on it. Like decision making. But I wouldn't just like throw a kid under the bus.
No. Can you guys see this?
Absolutely.
Yeah, I can.
Yeah, we can.
This is just an example of one of, like, it's a blank PDP for me. So play development plan, we call it, instead of IDP. But this is something what it looks like for me. So, obviously the player, the season of the fall 2020, the player, the report date, the evaluator was obviously myself. So go through the technical, tactical, physical. And I've picked out just a bunch of the stuff in here, but the date would go in here when we reviewed, and I would do a mid-year one as well. So I do the initial, beginning of the season, middle of the year, and then the summary or year end at the end of it. And we go through here, and I just click on this. You can see in this bar up here, it's just a very bland and generic, just what I want from the kids. So I would give this to the guys, and they have one they fill out, and I have one they fill out. So what they're looking for, where they need to be better, and then they do again the mid-year. And then there's just a little bit of a summary up there. Improve through the fall, spring on all 3 points. Lateral movement needs work, sharpness. And then we go into this action plan. What do we need to do, the individual and myself as a coach, to help them improve on this specific activity or wherever they are on the topic? As I scroll down here, you can see there's tactical, technical, physical, and mental. Then down here, we do the objectives. So short-term, 6 months, long-term, 12 months, the following year's goals, what we want to achieve, so on and so forth. And as we go over here, you can see at the top here, focus, areas of concern, areas of focus, consistently showing things. That's just more for me, so I can mark it as we go. Core player values. You can see there's a couple of things in there that I work with down here as well. And that to me just gives me a whole rounded kind of situation where it gives me a template, a starting spot for them. They fill it out. I fill it out. We screen share at their beginning of the season meeting, and we see where I think they are and where they feel they are. And then we kind of go from there and all the way through.
Yeah, I agree. And by the way, email that to me.
Okay.
I like that one. No, I like that one. I have so many, and I like that one. I have some stupid one with a wheel that I can't stand.
But I think also, something that needs to be brought up right here is that I used to think, oh, well, I'm just writing this for me, or for me to share with the coaching staff. I'm not going to show it to this person, so it's okay. But the way that you write something, if you write it that way, that's the energy that you're going to bring to it, even if you're not presenting that information to that person. So if you write something like, struggles with their feet would not be able to play at this level, blah, 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 you're going to come into that meeting with that mindset about this kid.
Well, and you have to remember that the kids are very, they take things at face value. So if you say that, they'll fall apart. So you actually, unfortunately, you can do that, in my opinion, with older goalkeepers. I can say Lauren's struggling with her feet, and then we can have a conversation about it. But if I say that to a 12-year-old, they're going to fall apart. Yeah. So you have to be more specific at a younger age than you do at an older age. Right. You can be general at an older age because you'll have a conversation about it and they'll get it. But at a younger age, it's got to be specific. It's got to be, trouble with first touch and then clearing the ball. This is how we work on it. Like you kind of have to coddle that. Else you're going to destroy a player. Yeah.
I think the check for understanding in that moment is also massively important. So if you're writing struggling with distribution, very bland, very generic. Okay. Right. And then I might say to you, hey, Mike, when I say this, what do I mean? Do you understand why I'm saying this? Yes. Right. I'm struggling with my first touch to put it in a position where I can play the next pass, or I'm finding it difficult to play it into the next person to give them a chance or the best chance to play the following person from that. That then now I'm going, okay, as a coach, he's listening and understanding what I'm asking of him, and he knows where he's struggling or she's struggling. And I think that for me is a huge piece. Obviously, as Josh said, the more general it can be, but the concept for them will be already implanted in their head because they've been through it so many times before. With a younger kid, you've got to really check for understanding, cuddle them into the answer almost, so they understand what they're actually saying and not just repeating it and going, great, I've forgotten about it, now it's done.
Yeah, that's such a great point on that, in regards to that. If you have a young goalkeeper and they're just repeating to you, you're the checking for understanding is so massive, Sharpe. And I'm so glad.
Is it getting into them? Do they understand, or are they just spitting it back to you?
Yeah. And there's a big thing now, and it's funny you say this. Last night I had my 2 DA groups last night, and we did a cutback drill that was very same drill for young kids, and it was very outside their realm. Like I knew it was going to be too difficult for them because I'm asking too much of their decision making too early. But I wanted to do it because I think that when it gets a little bit closer to goal, the decision making will come a little bit quicker. And I put him in a tough situation. But in the course of the drill, I was the one serving the ball in, the second ball in, and one of the kids would make a mistake or whatever it was, and I'd be like, to the young kid, Mono, you tell me. Oh, I did this, and this. Brilliant. Job done. I don't have to say anything else. Fantastic. Well done. Good boy. Now, he might have had a poor rep, but his understanding when I checked for it was fantastic. Yes. So for me, there's a winner. That's a winning situation right there. Not the fact that the execution was poor means nothing to me at 11 years old. The fact that he understood exactly what went wrong.
Exactly.
Brilliant. Yeah.
Exactly. And that's what I say all the time is I walk up and I say, all right, I know you did something wrong. What? Talk to me. What are you seeing? What happened? Mm-hmm. And if you can give that back to me, excellent. I don't care about what happened. Yeah. And I say that all the time. I don't care. I don't care about this. I care about what you're learning from it. Yeah. What have you taken from it?
I have one last question kind of as we wrap up, because I know both of you guys have to get going now. But one thing we haven't discussed is a player that you and the staff, you've talked to the staff and they've decided that they want to move on from. Obviously, this is a very difficult conversation. Is this something you bring up in an exit interview, or is this something that is brought up in a different conversation after the exit interview later on? Sharpe, I know obviously you in a professional environment is a little bit different than a collegiate environment, but
for me, the way I've run with it for the last 10 years is honesty. Number one, honesty. And I think that if you know the person is going to be let go, whatever level or whatever it is, you structure the interview, the exit interview, to make sure that the information that you are portraying to the goalkeeper, however old, however experienced they are, that they are going to receive it in the best possible way.
Yeah, and I'm dealing with kids that are underclassmen going into grad school, still have a year to play because of COVID, and how to help them and where I see their future.
Right.
And you have to. It's not just, hey, thanks, see ya. Don't let the door kick you in the ass. It's what do we have to do?
Right.
Like some of my players are incredible coaches. Will they go on to play pro? No, but can they go on to coach?
Right.
Absolutely. Is that what they want to do? Then you have to have those conversations. Like, this is what I'm talking about. This isn't like a hardcore interview. This is emotion involved.
Yeah. Yeah.
And you have to be invested in that.
You have to think about where the person is going. So younger or more experienced, it doesn't matter. What is next for them? Can I, as their coach, help them move on and achieve what they need to be achieving to help them progress further? So take an MLS goalkeeper, for example. So, it's happened a lot in my 10 years here where, younger goalkeepers come through, you let a third choice goalkeeper go, whatever it is, or, you might have to trade a goalkeeper because someone's interested in that goalkeeper. You have to move them on, but their family's instilled in Colorado. There's so many different scenarios, but you have to be mindful of the setting in which you are asking them to enter to make sure that the information they are receiving is well received, but then also offer the opportunity to help them, move them on. I mean, so many goalkeepers I've moved on to other clubs. They were good fits for other clubs, or we had younger goalkeepers coming through the system here that we wanted to give a chance to. But I have to make sure my due diligence, like Sarah said, it's not that, okay, thanks, everything's done. I've invested 4 or 5 years of my time into that human being as well.
Yeah, absolutely.
So therefore, I want them to succeed. Therefore, I have to make sure that what's next for them, I have a big part to play in that as well.
Absolutely. And what's next for them might just not what's up, Jamie and Kim?
Speaking of Colorado,
but what's up for them might not just be soccer. Right. And so, are you invested in this person as a human being, or just like a checklist on your thing? Right. And if you're just invested in them as a player to check off your board, then you should not be coaching. Yeah. I'm sorry. Hey, Kim, Jamie, are you kidding me? Congratulations again, Jamie, going to Colorado. I will. I love Kim and Jamie. That's awesome.
Oh my gosh. Well, I do want to say this last thing, before we let Sharpe plug it up and get out to the youth sessions right there, is that I think the number one thing to wrap it all up that everybody out there needs to understand, parents, coaches, players, is that these exit interviews are for the goalkeeper. They're not for you. They're not for the other coaches. They're not for the parents. They're for the goalkeeper. If you go in with that mindset that this whole idea, the whole reason we're doing this is to make this person a better goalkeeper or a better person, whatever it is that their goals are in life, then you're going to be successful with these interviews, in my 100%. Opinion.
100%. Yeah. And I think every scenario is different. Every human being is different. Every level that, talking about the pros or the college kids or the youth level kids or DA kids or camps or whatever it is, there's so many settings and scenarios that are very, very different. You have to have a feel for A, the human being that you're talking to, and B, the scenario that you're asking them to come.
Yeah, if you're just checking off boxes like that thing you sent us, and you're just like maybe giving a different adjective or something, or verb, sending it out to multiple kids, then that's not okay. That's not enough. Yeah. It's not enough.
Absolutely. Well, guys, thanks obviously for Sharpe for taking the time. I know you guys are really, really busy.
I'm really busy.
Well, you guys are both really, really busy. Massive match on Friday. Massive match, and obviously, I mean, LAFC is trying to make the playoffs, so they're going to be bringing everything they can, against you guys next week. That's the last regular season game before the playoffs, right, Sharpe?
Yep, correct. Decision day, last day.
Wow. Yep. Wow, man.
Big day. A lot of teams playing for a lot of different things.
Well, Sharpe, you've got to watch our game tomorrow.
What time's kickoff?
It's 8 p.m.
At your time?
Yeah.
Okay, so I'll be about sleeping with my little guy.
Yeah, exactly. My parents are like, seriously? I'm like, I can't do anything about it.
Right.
It's on Pac-12. Is it on Pac-12 or ESPN?
Pac-12.
Pac-12.
Sweet.
Pac-12. Pac-12. Well, Sharpe, if anybody wants to connect with you out there, I know you're really great on social media with connecting with people. There's probably going to be a lot of people who have more questions about this. Where's the best place to connect?
You can do us Instagram at Call Goalkeeper, or you can just do C_Sharpe01 on Instagram. Last time we did this, guys, DMs flew in, please. And I'll try to get back to everybody within the first couple of days. But you got questions for me, just throw them out there. I'm always happy to answer them, especially when it comes to goalkeeping. So.
Yeah. And if you want to reach out to Saskia Weber, wait till after Friday at 8 o'clock.
Thank you.
Well, bugger it today. Today's not a good day, guys.
Yeah, it's not today or tomorrow. Do not. But after Friday, well, maybe Sunday. You got to let me recover from
when's the tournament announcement? When do they do the Sunday, right? Sunday they do the announcements.
Monday they're doing the announcement.
Cool. On Monday they do the announcements. Okay.
Yeah,
so Saskia_Weber, wait till the weekend, guys, for that. If you have a guest suggestion or a topic suggestion, contact at insidethe18media.com or at Goalkeeper Podcast on all social media platforms. If you want to reach out to me, michaelmagidcomedy.com. It's got all my touring schedule, or reach out to me at Michael Magid on all social medias. I will be at the Madhouse Comedy Club next Wednesday at 8 o'clock, November 10th, if you guys would like to check it out.
Yeah, you too, Sas. Good luck tomorrow night.
Thank you. You too. Good luck.
Thank you very much. Cheers, guys.
All right, guys. That's all the time on Inside the 18. We're out, guys. Later.
See you guys. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Later. Bye. All right.